Welcome to the Lesbian Review podcast. I'm Sheena and I'm joined today by the fantastic and fabulous Anna, a reviewer at the Lesbian Review. Anna is joining me today to talk about 3 movies that she highly recommends. Alright Anna, without further ado, let's get going.
Cool. Well, good morning everybody, or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. It's morning for me, so I'm just going to stick with that right now. So, Sheena asked me to talk about my 3 favorite movies, and while I did give her a list the other day, I might be changing one of them because I realized that if I list the ones that I think are very important, they are all actually directed by women as well. So you get a really cool bonus with these movies.
Oh, nice.
And everything.
I like that plan.
Yeah, totally.
Fantastic.
And so Sheena and I have talked about this in the past where it's like, especially nowadays or actually anytime, it's always very important to have good positive representation of lesbians in movies and stuff, and we just haven't had that as much as I'm sure everybody would love to have, and people have made their voices very clear about wanting that more. I mean, there's even a whole con thing happening in the next couple of months related to all that that's very supportive of all that. So I'm going to give you a few of my favorite movies that are out there that can definitely show you positive imagery where nobody dies, and while the endings may be always ambiguous, or sometimes ambiguous, and they're saying you can always kind of be like, well, that's what fanfic is for, and just create your own continuation of endings. The first one I'm going to talk about is a movie called Loving Annabelle, which was directed by Katherine Brooks, and it was released back in 2006, I believe. Yes, I got there. Yeah, it was 2006. This is a story basically about a young, precocious woman who's in her senior year of school, but she's very much a wild child. She's a senator's daughter, so she likes to act out a lot, and she's been kicked out of a lot of private schools, and her last stop before military school is basically an all-girls Catholic boarding school. And here she meets Simone, who is her English teacher, like a lit teacher type thing, because they have scenes of her reading poetry and going over stuff like that. And she just totally falls for her.
But she's also like the boarding school overseer.
Yeah, she's like the house mom, basically. And she's what a lot of people in the school don't realize is that Simone did have a girlfriend at one point, and then something happened after they left school, and then she decided to come back, and because that's where she was her happiest, was at this school when she was growing up with her girlfriend and everything like that. A lot of people kind of gave this film a little bit of grief because it is a student-teacher relationship. But I liked the way Katherine handled it, because it could have been, very taboo, they're sneaking around, they're sleeping together. But honestly, she does a really good job of making it more about the flirtation, the getting to know each other, really building a strong foundation for what could be a decent relationship if it wasn't just for the fact that, Annabelle wasn't in school and Simone wasn't her teacher. And she does a really good job of showing that there are consequences to this action. I'm going to spoil it because it's been out for 12 years now. If you haven't seen it yet, you're not going to be really too upset if I spoil this, I promise. But it does show Simone getting, reprimanded for her actions with Annabelle, and, action is taken. I really feel like Katherine did a good job of showing the development of the relationship and not just having it be something that's like, oh, it's about a girl wanting to have sex with her teacher. That's not it at all.
The relationship was also very heavily pursued from the student's point of view.
Exactly, and usually you see it from the teacher in other movies and everything, and I love that it kind of turns the tables, because it does make it feel a little less like Simone is preying on Annabelle, even though her bosses and her supervisors are not going to see it that way because they didn't see the whole development. They're not going to really totally see that. But I do love how she kind of has the student be the pursuer, and it makes it feel more natural in its development that way. So that was awesome. And this was actually one of the first real lesbian movies I ever saw.
Okay. So it's got a really soft spot in your heart.
Yeah, I have a real soft spot in my heart for this because I remember thinking, wait, there's movies about this? And it was like my early 20s, and it's like up until that point, it's like anything I had seen with, lesbian or gay representation or anything like that, it was more of a negative connotation. Like either they weren't allowed to be together because somebody's like, I'm going to do the right thing and stay with my husband or something like that, or they ended up dying. They had the kill your gay tropes, and I was just like, this was one of the first ones where it was actually very positive. I mean, I hated the outcome, but again, it's like, I remember listening to the commentary, and Katherine said, is like, there are consequences for acting on your actions, especially in this case, when you have a student and a teacher getting involved together like this. And so I understood it, why she did what she did at the end, but I felt like she handled everything very much positively and openly about wanting to have these two women be together and not have it feel as, taboo as it has in the past with everything.
And if you enjoyed this movie, you might enjoy The House Mistress, which is a book also about a student-teacher relationship by Kira Michelle Telford.
Mm-hmm.
Also done really well, and I enjoyed that as well. Okay, cool. Good choice.
Thank you.
All right, what's your next one?
My next one is actually a comedy, believe it or not.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a comedy called Girl Play. And basically it's about two women, Lacey and Robin, who meet, do this play together, and in the context of doing this play, they end up falling in love. And it's one of those formats where we go between seeing scenes of Lacey and Robin's life and seeing them basically narrate these parts of their lives on the stage. So basically kind of mixing the theater and the film stuff together. What I really like about this is their wit that they have, because they actually wrote and directed this, or they wrote this together after they had, been together for about 6 years or so. And they, I believe they performed it as well on stage, and then they got a director to come in, Lee Friedlander. If I'm mispronouncing her last name, I apologize profusely for that. And they were like, we want to put this on film. And well, they actually got the movie, they got the money together, they got Dom DeLuise, of all people, to come in and play the director, which was awesome, because he's just this flamboyant director type and everything, and he was just, outside of Lacey and Robin, he was like one of my favorite parts to watch.
Oh, nice.
It's just fun to hear them tell the story about how they were, kind of in relationships before they did this play together. Robin especially was in a relationship with somebody for like 6 years, and they were talking about, getting married and everything like that, and then she does this play, and it's like, okay, maybe this isn't the right move for me, but, she explains her struggle with, like, I'm with this person, I've been with her for 6 years, am I just going to throw it all away for this attraction to this other person? So yeah, it was always very, it has those poignant moments where you're just like, wow, these are real women, and they're dealing with, having these feelings for each other, but there's not a lot you can do about it because one's in a relationship and one's technically not, but it's like she doesn't want to destroy that relationship just to, have a fling or whatever. But it's interlaced with humorous moments as well to kind of, I wouldn't necessarily soften the blow, but it's like a lot of people react better to comedy than they do drama in these types of situations. And they tell all these little points about these stories in their life. Like Lacey talks about her last serious girlfriend and how she was trying to make it work and it ended up, not working out and ending kind of badly. And Robin tells the story about how she came out to her mom, which is one of my best points because apparently it happened right outside a Chinese restaurant when she did it. And she explains how she, said the words, "Mom, I'm gay," and how she really wanted to say, "I'm a lesbian," but she felt like that was too many syllables to attack the woman with. And I'm just like, okay. That was a great illustration. If anybody, please pick this up and please check that out because that is the best scene, I swear to God, in the entire movie. So yeah. But I just love how they have this great witty humor, and you can definitely see how much they really are devoted to each other and how much they love each other as well. And it's just their personalities mesh well together in a lot of ways. And I actually got to meet them.
Oh yeah.
A few years ago. Yes, I did. I got to meet them. It was actually right after watching this movie. And I sent them an email saying, hey, I live in LA. I'm a sound designer. If you got anything you want me to do, I'd be glad to work with you guys. And they're like, well, actually, we do. And so, because Robin ended up writing a musical and they needed a sound designer to come and help with that. And with my theater background, I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. Let's do it. And everything. So
that's amazing. So you did sound design for one of their productions?
Yes, I did, and I know they're still trying to get that to off Broadway or close to Broadway or on Broadway. And if Robin and Lacey are listening to this, I apologize for not getting all the way to Broadway and everything like that. But we're crossing our fingers.
Fantastic.
And everything, and right now they actually they have a YouTube channel where they talk about like just being in a relationship. They've been together for over 20 years now, and everything, which is awesome.
Good for them.
I know, right?
That's amazing.
I know.
Because,
that is amazing.
There's a stereotype that lesbians don't stay together. There's a stereotype that there's too much drama and we break up and stuff. And it's actually, I found that to not actually be true. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And these are just they're just two great women to just hang out with and play poker with, even though they take all my money. But, Robin especially, so not much I can do about that.
Okay. All right. So, are there any book equivalents to this film?
Book equivalents? Let me think. I would put this as a friends to lovers type book.
Okay.
Because they did know each other before they did the play together, because they had both been doing the comedy show circuit and stuff. So that's how they kind of knew each other beforehand. So they were friends before they became romantically involved. So I'm trying to go through my brain right now of romantic friends to lovers books right now.
Because it's not just friends to lovers, it's friends to lovers with a kind of a theatrical twist. All right. So, listeners, if you know of any lesfic books that fall into this category, send us an email. Pop us an email to podcast@thelesbiantalkshow.com. Cool. What's your third one?
I gotta go something that some people probably would not know about, and honestly, I didn't discover till a couple of years ago. And it's this little movie called Hannah Free. It has Sharon Glass, for those of you who don't know, Katney and Lacey. But this is also another one that was based on a play that was written, and it's directed by Wendy Jo Carlton, and it's basically about these lifelong friends who started out as really good friends when they were kids, and then they ended up, becoming lovers down the road. So Sharon Glass plays Hannah Free, or the older Hannah Free, and we meet her when she's in a nursing home, and she's worried about her partner, who's basically, Rachel is her partner's name, who's basically had a stroke, I believe, and is in a coma somewhere in the nursing home, and she doesn't want to live without her. She doesn't want to be outside, because you find out that Hannah has had a very transient lifestyle throughout her life. She's very unsettled. And so she comes in and out of Rachel's life. She goes to places like Alaska, Brazil, and ends up joining the army at one point to help out with the war effort. So this is stuff that is definitely you get present day Hannah sitting in the nursing home, and she's relating all these stories, and you have a very talented actress playing young Rachel, whose name is eluding me right now, and I apologize for that very, very much, because I thought that she was very talented. I actually went and looked her up and tried to contact her at one point to be like, hey, let's work together, and then I realized she was Chicago based, and I was like, okay, maybe not. But she's basically talking to Rachel as a spirit, as her younger spirit, and reliving all these moments of when they were together. And it was a very touching, I found, story about, two women who just loved each other over time and through their entire lives, basically.
And Hannah keeps coming back. She can't stay away. Yes. She keeps coming back. And
she keeps coming back because of Rachel. That's totally why she keeps coming back. And it's like, and I love the point when they do show Hannah and Rachel much older, and Hannah's trying to find another job somewhere else, and Rachel just basically gives her an ultimatum. It's like, why can't you stay? And she's like, well, I feel like I'm looking for something. And she's like, there is something here. It's me. And so that finally gets her to stay. And it's like, okay.
But it's after a lifetime of waiting for her.
I know. And I wanted to smack Hannah so many times because of like, really? You're going to leave this shit? I was like, yeah, it may be small town Illinois, that you're leaving and everything, but seriously? You're going to leave her every time? I don't care if you're like, I'm going to come back. It's like, no, you don't do that and everything to somebody you love. I'm sorry. I don't care. This is
very much a film that is done as if it's a play. So the flashbacks are filmed scenes, but a lot of it takes place as just a story being told by Sharon Gless sitting in a bed in a nursing home. It's an interesting filmmaking technique. Sharon Gless herself is bloody brilliant. I really do like her.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually like the girl also who played young Hannah, and everything. I actually found out that she works at a theater in Chicago, and I believe that's probably where they found her because she does have that theater. Kelly Strickland played the younger Hannah, and Anne Hagman played the Rachel character and everything. So I was like, sweet! I went and looked it up on IMDb. So I was like, wait, I have IMDb, I can do this. So yeah, I mean, and what I really loved is that it's always interesting when you get two actresses together and, I believe one of them was gay, one of them was not. I'm not sure on that, and if I'm insulting anybody, I apologize for that. But when you have those dynamics, it's always important for me to say that they have the chemistry.
See, I think you mean together. Complimenting, not because yes, it's a compliment to be a lesbian.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I don't think it is either, but I don't know how people like to be referenced to, and it's like I don't want to make assumptions sometimes.
I think we should just assume everybody's gay. Everybody assumes we're straight. How about that? So, let's just reverse the
let's assume everybody's gay. let's just assume everybody's gay. But yeah, I really love the chemistry between Kellly and Anne playing the roles of Hannah and Rachel. Because I know when you come into a situation like that, you're going to see somebody naked. You're going to see somebody in a very vulnerable position. It's not always easy to get that chemistry to happen right off the bat. And I thought, every time I saw them together, it's like whether it shows them making out, whether it shows them just sitting there talking and, professing their, desire to be together. And Rachel especially being like, I want you to stay and, this is what's going to happen if you stay. I really believe that they were in a relationship or had this connection since they were children and everything like that. So that was just amazing for me. That to me, no matter how big a budget or how low a budget is, because I know this was like definitely a shoestring budget for them. If you don't have the chemistry with that partner on film, it's going to be a hard sell. Personally,
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about all three of these movies. It's like they casted everything perfectly. Lacey and Robin, of course, they've been together for 6 years, so I'm not surprised when this film was made, so I'm not totally surprised that they had their chemistry together and everything like that. But it was also seeing the chemistry between the actresses in Loving Annabelle, between Erin and Diane, respectively, is their names. And from what I understand, it actually took them a long time to find the Simone. I think they found her like 2 or 3 days before they were actually supposed to start filming. Because they knew the chemistry was going to be that important for it. So.
I think any kind of romantic thing, you have to find those people that just work on screen. And the funny thing is, I've watched films being made when you're looking at somebody in real life, it looks like there's chemistry. But the minute you put a camera there, it's like there's nothing. So you have to have that dynamic on-screen spark, which is a whole different thing. Yeah. And not actually that easy to find.
No, it's not. And I think that's also why a lot of people do, like in this industry, there are read-throughs, like where they bring in two people together. It's like, we already know we're casting this person for this. We need to find somebody that matches her. And they'll do like a bunch of read-throughs. They'll do camera tests also to make sure that they look good together and that they, mesh well together. So totally. I mean, it is a hard thing to actually, like create that chemistry. I can get it. And because if your audience doesn't buy it, then it's just going to be hard for them to A, watch it, and B, to sell it to other people.
Yep. And
stuff like that. So, but I really love watching all these movies again and again and again because I just totally believe that their stories are real, which is what you want from a good film. So,
absolutely. Fantastic. Anna, thank you. Is there a book equivalent to Hannah Free?
Well, anything that talks about, friends turning to lovers. But
seeing a theme here.
Yeah, no. I have always been a big fan of that, personally, because I feel when you start with friendship, you really build that solid foundation of trust, and this is the person I can count on. And it's one of those situations where it's like, if it turns romantic, it's a great thing because you already know this person inside and out, and some of your feelings have just developed more for them. And if for some reason it doesn't, either they're not attracted to you that way or you're not attracted to them that way, you still have this great foundation where you still have a great relationship throughout your life, as long as you two are connected in some way. I have a lot of great friendships that are like that. It's like if something happens down the road, I'm all for it, But it's like, at the same time, if nothing happens, I know I have this great person in my life for all the right reasons. And we connect in a lot of ways that are just awesome. So,
I get that. Do you have any final shout-outs that you want to do before we come to a close?
Final shout-outs? Like, woohoo, or what?
Like, any movies that you particularly wanted to add, but then just missed your list?
I would have added Tipping the Velvet because it's just amazing. It is epic. I will give it that because there are like 3-4 different chapters or something like that. I can't remember.
3 chapters. Yeah, it's quite long, but it's so worth it.
Oh yeah, it's so worth watching. I mean, it's definitely one of those, if you want to binge watch it, you could definitely sit down and do that. But definitely take a couple of breaks because there are some very heavy moments. I remember that one would be one. Carol, obviously, I love dearly. I listen to the soundtrack very often to that too, and everything. So yeah, but there's actually a lot around right now that I almost feel like I could cherry pick a little bit, but these are the 3 that I feel like were the best ones that I could come up with. And again, because it's a woman's view, it's women doing it, doing amazing things and telling amazing stories. So.
Fantastic. Anna, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
This has been the Lesbian Review podcast. I'm Sheena. Anna joined me today. You can find us on thelesbianreview.com. Don't forget to join our Facebook group, the Lesbian Talk Show chat group. And there's a link to Patreon if you decide you want to be a patron and support us and love us and all those fun things. You also get exclusive behind the scenes content. That's all for this week. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Hi.
Welcome to the Lesbian Review podcast. I'm Sheena, and today I'm joined by the fantastic and fabulous Anna, a reviewer at the Lesbian Talk Show.
It's morning for me. It's late for you. We're gonna get this right, I'm sure. It's okay.